Hello everyone, welcome back to the Reformatory, episode 2. Episode 1 was a lot of fun, so here we are with episode 2. Before I go any further, I had a request to introduce my dog. This is Motoko. She's named after the main character from the Ghost in the Shell series. But she will be helping us with these episodes, and she's a ton of fun. Alright, so as I promised, we're going to do a Tools of the Trade episode. So we're not going to waste any time. We have a bunch of tools here, and we'll go ahead and get started on showing you what I use. So here's a nice overshot of everything. It might look like a lot, but really it's easy to throw into a pack and just get moving from one machine to the next. These are the packs that I keep everything in, and just going down the line here, starting kind of on the simple end. We have screwdrivers. They do vary in quality. Of course, these WIA screwdrivers are really great. They're probably higher in quality. But, you know, have a little stubby one, have a multi-tool. No big deal there. Coming over, we have some pliers and a monkey wrench, wire cutters, needle nose, and then these butt splice connectors I use all the time to connect wires. So these crimpers work out great for that. And then wire strippers as well. But nothing crazy there. You don't really need like a full socket kit or anything like that. A lot of the nuts and bolts on these machines aren't on there too terribly tight, so you just kind of need to break them loose with something, and then they come off fairly easy. Moving up here, I only have about 3 nut drivers: 1/4 inch, 5/16, and 11/32. Those are about the only 3 that I really run into. An Allen key set is nice to have on hand as well. Let's see, what next? Cleaning products. It's crazy how much just cleaning a game really just brings it back to life, almost 100%. So I have these microfiber towels I go through like crazy, nylon brushes, and I love this Method glass cleaner that pretty much cleans everything on the machines that I tend to clean up. Let's see. Okay, so I'll probably jump into this DeWalt cordless drill. This thing has been awesome. It's nice and small. It has this LED light array on the front of it, so you can see what you're doing. It gets in some tight spots. It doesn't weigh much, so that way I can just throw it in my kit and always have a nice powerful cordless drill on hand. These security bits, you can get these anywhere, kind of like AutoZone, even probably Walmart at this point, but definitely need a set of security bits. I have a generic nut driver here for those, and then even an attachment for the drill there, so I could put all the bits in that attachment as well. A couple finite tools. A buddy of mine who's a dentist hooked me up with these. I do like these long scissors, this extraction tool, and then some tweezers as well. These come in handy quite a bit. Just have this tool from Hap. It takes care of the nuts on the back of these buttons. So definitely a handy little tool so you don't tear up buttons when you're taking them in and out. Let's see, I have my discharge tool for discharging CRT screens. There's a lot of videos out there in terms of how to discharge a screen, so I would recommend checking out a couple of those, but nothing fancy, just a wire, insulation stripped, attached to a screwdriver there, and any kind of connector on the end to connect it to the frame of the monitor to discharge. The next thing, we'll probably hit on electric stuff. So I have a voltmeter here. I got this from Lowe's. I think it was about $25. I would recommend spending about that on a meter. I don't think you need to get anything more expensive than that starting out, but I would try to stay away from those like free ones you get at hardware stores. Those things are not reliable really. So this is great, but just checking your 5 volts is the main thing that you want to do starting out. So don't let this intimidate you. Just kind of put it on this setting here, check your 5 volts, and then you can learn from that point. I also have this stupid little tool. I use this for years just to check and see if a wire is hot or not. And you know, a nice beginner tool. I think this thing costs like $4, and really that's kind of a starting point for me, saying what is actually getting power and what is not getting power. Really from there, I think we're just moving on to the soldering station. You know, I upgraded to this one, so this is a Hakko. It's not cheap necessarily, but it has been really nice to have. So starting out, you might even just use a soldering pen. I used those for quite a while. You could do a full cap kit on a monitor chassis with a soldering pen of any kind, or even a flyback replacement, just with a soldering pen starting out. But of course, you know, over time you'll probably want to upgrade to something like this. And then this solder sucker, I do recommend this brand here. I believe it is called Soldapullet. It's the only one that really has enough oomph to it to really take care of mopping up any solder situations, especially when you're trying to change like a flyback or something like that. So that's the solder puller I recommend. But really that's everything. I just kind of wanted to keep it short and sweet. Not that expensive to put this whole kit together, and then you can kind of tailor it how you want in terms of more expensive stuff here and there, or less expensive. So there you go. So the next part of the video today, I had a request from a friend of mine to go into detail on this Jurassic Park Lost World. So we'll kind of jump into that because it is a little bit of a different game. So on regular shooter games like Area 51, those type of games use a light gun that communicates with a CRT screen. But on these SEGA games, it was quite a bit different. They have this LED sensor array that goes around the screen. I'll kind of jump in the back here and show you what I'm talking about, because that is kind of like the main difference of these games. So on the back here you can see all these little PCBs. There's 5 on top, 5 on bottom. They come down the side as well. And when you pull the trigger on the gun, these little LEDs pick up the beam of light that's coming out of the gun, and then they are able to triangulate where you're shooting and then put that mark on the screen. So we'll kind of come back out. So when I first got this game, a bunch of those sensors were burnt out. On the front of the game, you can't really see them in this video, but there are little LED lights lit up, and if any of those are flickering or out, then you want to replace those little PCBs so that the gun can properly work. Out here I've got some stuff. These are the little PCBs. These are all the ones I replaced. And then I found some online that came out of House of the Dead, or House of the Dead 2. So I think it was Confidential Mission, House of the Dead 2, Jurassic Park, and there might be another one out there that used these type of sensors. But when we're dealing with SEGA products, in my opinion, it's all about what revision these little PCBs are involved with. So as you can see on here, we've got this number. It's 838131145. These are the original ones, and then over here we have that same number but a -02 on the end. So anytime you find those additional revisions, those are kind of the ones you want to get because they're a later generation of the technology. So I had to replace a bunch of these first gen ones with some of these second gens, and then I had 3 of these left over, so I'm hanging on to these for dear life because once the other first generation ones go out, these are the only ones that I'll have available. So here's kind of a blowout of the SEGA gun. Not much to it really. This main sensor in the end of it is one of the ones that everybody is seeking because it's a rare one. So if you ever find these, hang on to them. But luckily the 2 that I have in my game here are working. The next part that I do want to go over then is down here in the guts of the game. Another problem issue is down here is this gun I/O board. So it's in the bottom of the game there. But main PCB really isn't going to give you too much trouble. Power supply stuff, it's pretty well set from SEGA. But this I/O board does tend to go out quite a bit. So I do have one of these over here as well. This is the one that was originally in the game that went bad. And the same thing, you can see the serial number, the 838131143, and there is no dash number behind it. So I know that these revisions went all the way up to -09, because that's the one that I have in Jurassic Park right now. So that was a much later generation. I think it came from like a Rambo game. So if you need to replace this board at some point, try to get the highest revision you can, and that'll keep you out of trouble. And then once you do get the board, you may have to switch some of the settings. There's a toggle switch to take it from like House of the Dead 2 to Jurassic Park, and then you do need to dial in these V pots. So this is kind of a cheat sheet here if you need that at some reference. Some of them need to be at 10 o'clock, some of them need to be at 6 o'clock and 3 o'clock, but those are those little blue dials. That keeps your gun on target and from bouncing around all over the place. So really, once I replaced those screen sensors and once I replaced that I/O board, the game really came to life. I did replace the screen in the back with an LED screen. It had a rear projection screen, which was just a mess. So those are not something people really rebuild too much. They just put the LCDs in there and good to go. So this game has been a champ. Everybody enjoys playing it. It never stays empty when I have events. So it has definitely been an all-star. Any questions or thoughts on it, of course, let me know in the comments or shoot me a message. And then one last thing before I go, I wanted to give you an airlock update of stuff that has come into the airlock here. So the other day I picked up this NFL Blitz pedestal. I didn't waste my time with the back part. On this game there would be a huge wooden cabinet on the back with a big 30-inch screen. So I left that behind. Just picked up this pedestal here, this back marquee that I'll kind of transform to put around an LCD screen. And then here's all the guts over here. So that was a pretty awesome little find. Somebody had already set it outside for the most part, and they were just ready to get rid of it. So that kind of stuff is always a fun little venture. And then like I mentioned, I'll hook a big screen up to that and we'll be good to go with Blitz. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Of course, thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us. Next episode, I think I might do one of the LCD screen conversion kits and show you how that works exactly. But again, if you have any questions or concerns, just shoot me a message and we'll go from there. Thanks, everybody.